We are now live and recording. Site. How are you guys doing today? Brad, are you having a good afternoon?
Doing good, thank you. Nice little sunny day here in Cleveland, Ohio, so it's always good.
Awesome. I am going to share. Sorry,
I thought you were asking the attendees.
Oh.
Waiting for them to respond in chat. I'm good as well. Sunny out here in the Bay Area today too.
Awesome. Good, good. I am going to share my screen. One moment. And we can get this started. Awesome. Can everybody see my screen? You can just raise your hand or say in the chat that we're good to go. Awesome. I see all these hands. Woo-woo. Great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this webinar. My name is Christina, and I am going to be your host today. And as you know, the title is Navigating Consumer Trust in a Digital First World. And today's webinar is brought to you by Reseller Ratings and Trusted Site. First, I'm going to show you what we're going to be going over today. So we're going to do some intros. There's going to be a panel discussion. We're going to tell you some tips and tricks about trust building. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our integration, and then we're going to leave some room for question and answers. And you can submit your questions into the chat box, however you would like to do that. And then we will be able to answer them for you. So I'm going to go first. I am Christina Kay. I am the growth marketer here at Reseller Ratings. I have been in marketing for over 10 years, been in the SaaS space for about 8 or so. My passion in the marketing world is really combining sales and marketing to increase leads, as well as really develop the best marketing staff or marketing technology staff for companies. And Brad, you're next.
Awesome. Thanks, Christina. Hi, everyone. My name is Brad Poole. I'm Chief Revenue Officer here at Reseller Ratings. Been helping our clients build trust with customer reviews and user-generated content for going on 9 years now. Been in the e-commerce space for almost 20, and really excited to be here today. You know, it's perfect timing with the e-commerce accelerating faster than really any time in history. So consumer trust can play a big factor in that. So excited to be here today.
Yeah, and my name is Lauren Ladra. I'm Director of Partnerships here at Trusted Site. I've been with Trusted Site for about 6 years, and Trusted Site has been around since 2013. I've been in the partnership space for the past 10 years in the SaaS space as well. And really our goal here at Trusted Site is to help sites build trust and increase conversions with their visitors.
Awesome. Thank you, Lauren and Brad. And we're going to start off with some panel questions. The first question is, how has the pandemic affected customer trust? And Brad, how about you go first on this one?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Christina. You know, I was reading an article in Forbes the other day when they were talking about, you know, there was over 7 million first-time buyers online last year. And really kind of adding that with record-breaking total e-commerce sales, things really changed rapidly over the past year. And kind of got me thinking, you know, what were some of my experiences shopping online over the past year? Some are good, you know, bought this jacket online, you know, and normally I'd go into a store, or, you know, now it's commonplace to buy groceries online. But then I was also kind of thinking, you know, what were some of the unfortunate experiences that myself and maybe others had, you know, like long ship times, or maybe, you know, something's out of stock, or even, you know, there's no order status updates. You know, I was even thinking of my dad, who is not an avid online shopper, and, you know, kind of guiding him to make a purchase, and, you know, some of the issues that he had, and things being out of stock as well. So, you know, with everything changing so rapidly, these types of issues were common with a lot of experiences. And really with this digital transformation trend, it really accelerated quickly, and really kind of forcing some businesses to really pivot to a digital mindset, first mindset, really almost overnight. And, you know, really the retail world got, you know, flipped upside down in 2020. And, you know, coming out of it into 2021, there's really going to be a lot of nervous shoppers, and customer trust really took a hit with online businesses. And, you know, they either couldn't keep up with demand, or, you know, maybe the shopper took a risk with a new online store that, you know, just never came through. The good news is that e-commerce isn't going to slow down, but what will take time is building the trust back up with the customers. You know, but with that will come opportunity for businesses that really kind of keep that customer first mindset, and really acknowledge that, you know, the customer trust is going to be key to success this year.
Yeah, really good points, Brad. I think to add on to that, you know, there was one stat I saw that said 75% of consumers tried out some sort of new shopping behavior during the pandemic. This could have been shopping online for the first time, buying online, picking up in store, ordering groceries for delivery. But there were a couple of groups of consumers who were primarily impacted by this. There was the brand new online shopper, which was mostly older generations who were primarily used to shopping in store. They were really affected by the pandemic and were essentially forced to do their shopping online, and really forced to navigate this whole new world of online shopping, and had to figure out how to get what they needed in a safe manner. So they were trying to figure out how to shop online, where to get the products that they were looking for. And with that, they also had to figure out who they could trust, which can be really challenging when you're entirely new to this whole world of e-commerce, and really having no idea what to look for to figure out if a site is safe or not. The other group of kind of new online shoppers was what we'd call the expanding horizons online shopper. These were people who may have shopped a little bit at the big guys like Amazon, Walmart, Target, but once they realized that these stores didn't have what they needed, they had to start expanding to these smaller direct-to-consumer sites. And with that came a lot of kind of inherent trust issues as well. They had to research new stores, figure out who had the products they needed, who they could trust. And along with that, the businesses were also forced to really have to adapt. Businesses had to adapt to a world where e-commerce was now the new way of doing business. And they had to think about how to stand out amongst all this competition that's now out there in the world, and really how to put weary consumers at ease. So there was a lot that changed really quickly in the world of e-commerce, and businesses and consumers had to adapt pretty quickly. I think that what we're starting to see is that consumers are starting to get smarter, and they will continue to get smarter and continue to understand what trust symbols to look for on a site. And I think online merchants are going to get smarter about that as well and figure out what tools they need to use to convey trust moving forward in this kind of new digital first world.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lauren and Brad. I'm going to move on to the next question. So the next question is, why is it important for e-commerce businesses to have trust building strategies in place? And Lauren, how about you go first this time?
Yeah, so obviously we all know online shopping is a much different experience from shopping in store. When you walk into a brick and mortar store, you can identify reasons to trust the business right off the bat. You know, you can see employees at the register, someone to ask questions to. You can physically touch the item, making sure it's kind of what you expect and the quality you expect. You can see other customers shopping and making purchases, which naturally kind of makes you feel comfortable and makes you trust the business as well. The online shopping experience is obviously a lot different. You can't see the people running the site. You can't see if other people are shopping there. You can't interact with the products in the same way. You're really relying on a pretty brief product description and maybe a couple product photos, and you have to make a purchase based on that. There's a lot more uncertainty in that you don't know, is your order going to arrive as expected? Will it arrive when I expect it? Is the site going to take my money and run? Will my email start to be spammed after sharing my personal information with this site? If a consumer is experiencing any of these doubts, the likelihood of them abandoning their cart and potentially never coming back to your site is very high. So getting ahead of this can help minimize any effects down the road. Building a trust building strategy and having one in place, you know, being transparent, including detailed product descriptions and photos, including product reviews and other trust symbols. All of these can really help build trust with your visitors, making them less likely to question the legitimacy of your business.
Yeah, great points, Lauren. Especially, you know, really that increase in you know, uncertainty with online shopping. It really is changing really the normal buying behaviors that we've done for years. And, you know, consumers are now switching their loyalty from the brands they've always bought from at higher rates than we've ever seen. You know, 75% of US consumers are trying new shopping behaviors in response to either maybe an economic pressure or store closings or just changing priorities. You know, this is a huge opportunity though for online retailers to really boost new customer acquisition and like you said, expand horizons from, you know, people that can't find the things they normally did at some of the larger, you know, top 5 retailers. And really, you know, the key to succeeding with this opportunity is going to be really kind of having that trust building strategy to anticipate these nervous shoppers. We know they're going to be there, and, you know, these shoppers will be cautious, you know, either because of a past experience in 2020, there's something with shipping or they couldn't get to it. Or even just the increase, like you said, in fake and phishing sites that, you know, they're seeing on the news. But, you know, these consumers will, you know, be hesitant to make sure, you know, they aren't duped again, but, you know, they'll look for ways to really ensure your site's legitimate. And, you know, really that's where you look at your customer journey and make sure you're reinforcing it with different trust markers to show that it's secure, different security badges to know their credit card's safe, and tying that together with customer reviews so they know, you know, word from their peers that it's a safe place to buy. But, you know, really having a trust building strategy will give you a chance to really guide these shoppers, you know, through the entire buyer's journey.
Awesome. Thank you, Brad and Lauren, again. And for the last question for you guys is, what do e-commerce sites have to do differently now in order to build trust with customers? And Brad, you can go first again.
Yeah, thanks, Christina. Really listening to your customers is really more important than ever before. You know, be true to your brand and your purpose, because during times like these, you know, every interaction with your customers is an opportunity to really demonstrate what your organization is all about. You know, with how fast things are changing, you know, all retailers are going through that, and it'll really give you a chance to better understand, you know, what your customers are concerned about, you know, in that moment. Customer behaviors are changing more than ever before, so, you know, use your customers' feedback to, you know, make changes to your buyer's journey to ensure there aren't any gaps that maybe would prevent others from making a purchase. And, you know, the good news is we are seeing, you know, customers write reviews about the great things that businesses have done. They love sharing these reviews with each other, and they also want to provide feedback to say, hey, here's where, you know, areas you can improve. So, you know, I'd say, you know, now is the time not only to listen, but also really let your customers know that they're heard, and address their situations head on. And even if it was your fault, transparency is going to be key.
Yeah, and I have a lot of the same points, Brad. I agree with everything you said. I think it's really crucial to understand your audience, who they are, what issues they're facing, what they're looking for in a product. All of this is going to be really crucial as we move forward, and really being real with your customers and being human. Don't be robotic. Communicate with them on a human level. You know, I think you're going to hear the word transparency 100 times in this webinar today. It is so key and so important. And just be honest and set expectations according to what you can fulfill. So for example, if you're experiencing shipping delays, if you have products that are back ordered, let the visitor know upfront before they get to the checkout, before they complete their purchase. If you let them make their purchase and then you notify them later that their product's going to be delayed or not arrived or won't arrive as expected, you're more likely to see a negative impact from that than if you were to just tackle that and be honest upfront. If you kind of, give them proper expectations from the beginning, then they'll probably move forward and make that purchase knowing that the product may be delayed or may not arrive when expected. So transparency and communication across all channels are going to be crucial, not just on your website, but be transparent in your social media platforms, in your email communications. Just kind of getting ahead of all of that can ease any sort of friction with the buyer. Like I said, something else we're going to be digging into a little bit later here is trust signals, transparency, and how to prove that you're a legitimate and trustworthy brand. Consumers are starting to get savvier and they will be looking for trust indicators on your website. So we'll help address some of those later on here.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys. And now we're going to kick it off with Brad with our tips and tricks.
All right. Thanks, Christina. So tip number one, meet the expectations of the modern online buyer. Really, a key here is going to be having recent customer reviews. It should be a top priority for 2021. And really, with how fast things are changing, customers aren't going to, care what, other shoppers thought in 2020. They know how your business is doing now, and they want to know how our ship times or how is the checkout process. And, over 80% of customers really just think reviews older than 3 months are outdated. So the key to really building trust with both your new and existing shoppers is going to be recent reviews. And really it's everything from reviews on your business to your product. Customers looking for those recent reviews, and also a couple of trending topics that we are seeing within our data is obviously around shipping and even customer service. We've seen that shoppers are really relying a lot and leaning on their peers right now to really help guide them and make sure that past shipping issues are resolved, or even that if something does go wrong. Something key here is we've seen people say, hey, if something does happen, their customer service team was great. That's really where you can excel, is really make sure that your team was courteous and able to help the problem head on, and really that gives you a chance to really let your customers spread the word on different improvements that you've made and be able to see it in real time. In addition to recent reviews, shoppers will be looking for context within review content. So, for example, yes, this product has positive reviews, but what type of shopper were they? Was it a first-time shopper or was it a repeat shopper? Yes, they liked the product, but were there any attributes about that product that they didn't like, maybe about a certain size or shirt length? Or did they happen to share a picture of them, wearing, or using the product so you can see kind of a similar fit size? Customers are open to giving these answers really now more than ever. So the key here is really making sure you're asking them, because they're willing to answer it. The reason being is all different customers are going to have all different buying behaviors. So providing them as much as you can in that review from other shoppers is really going to help you really cast the widest net on all the different types of buying behaviors that are going to be out there. And, especially with so many new online shoppers, you're going to get your customers to be really the best salesperson for you. And that's going to be key, is to really leverage those existing customers to, help build trust with the new shoppers. To give you an example, my wife and I were looking to buy a new kitchen table. One website only had customer reviews and images from the manufacturer that were gorgeous, but, those images were nice now, but, we needed to know how this would look in a typical kitchen and, not a professional, not professional lighting, right? So we found another site that, had customer images with the product reviews, and we actually ended up paying more for the table because we could clearly see how that table looked in all different style kitchens. And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, really, there's nothing worse than trying to return a large kitchen, especially during a pandemic. So, we ended up not looking anywhere else, and we made the purchase right then and there because we, we're confident in what it'll look like. And, people still will be hesitant to, get in line at the post office and try to return items from tables to even clothing. So, really make sure you leverage your happy customers to, put future customers' minds at ease, which also results in lower amount of returns and satisfied customers, and less you have to deal with in the future. So the second tip here is get more conversions with social proof. All right, so when we think about customer reviews, we think of it as really kind of using that power of popularity to persuade other shoppers. And that's why it's so important to make sure you're collecting as many reviews as possible about your business, but also about the product as well. Nothing puts doubt in a shopper's mind more than when they get to a product page and they see the writer review, but there's no product reviews listed there. So then they start thinking, all right, well, why didn't people write reviews? Or maybe no one's buying this product. So it starts to create that doubt right out of the gate. And honestly, next time you go look at Amazon, see all the different types of user-generated content that's on there. They have seller ratings at the top, questions and answers from the shoppers halfway down. Then the product reviews have images and videos and great content in there. And now people are expecting to see this type of social proof because so many of them are starting to search on Amazon. And really, that's why there's such a high increase in conversions when products have reviews. It's that trust factor that shoppers are in need of, or the review gives them a reason to buy a more expensive product, like I did with the kitchen table. But making sure customer reviews are part of your trust building strategy is really an easy way to leverage your happy customers to really sell for you. And in addition to reviews, different shoppers will be looking at different review content. So make sure with your product reviews, you're giving customers a chance to share as much as they can, not only the product, but also with images and video. And, to Lauren's point earlier, know your audience. So for example, generation like millennials are actively searching for customer images with their reviews. So not only does it help really the power of popularity, but it gives them the confidence that, the product will look like or work is based on their peers' images that have been shared. And then really with social media, these channels are more important than ever before, so make sure you're leveraging real customer content to help build those trust early in the buyer's journey. Put your products directly into your customers' hands by showcasing, how others felt about your product and even the store experience. We give you, the ability within the reseller ratings dashboard here is to really kind of just download the real customer content, whether it's about your business or about the product, and push them across all your digital media channels like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, anywhere they could find you in the beginning of the buyer's journey, and really kind of take that heavy lifting out of marketing material, creating on your side, and really automate, thousands of assets, for your social media pipeline. And then the last point on this tip is, shoppers not only like to share content in different ways, but they also prefer to consume in different ways. And really making sure you go beyond just your normal business and product reviews that we've seen for years. This will not only help with the customer, but it's actually really going to help you differentiate from your competition. Video is going to be a major key piece into building this trust, and something that's just now starting to really take off with retailers. And I think a lot of that has to do with the recent success with TikTok and Snapchat. This should give you a leg up on the competitors since this technology is so new. And really help you collect videos, and not only from just the email, but also shared Instagram stories, YouTube unboxing videos, and a product review email right from the phone. All those different types of ways are how customers are actually sharing that content now. So we kind of give you that way to really kind of capture as much of that content as possible by whatever way the customer feels most comfortable sharing it. And videos will be not only the easiest way to consume it, but such a quick and easy way to build trust with potential shoppers. I'd say another tip with that is really make sure you give your customers a chance to leave feedback during their shopping experience. And really, this is a great way to find out, why didn't someone buy? Maybe they had an issue with the product page or at the checkout, or it gives them a chance to really share what happened before they leave your site. So now it's not just an abandon, you kind of have a note, you have a reason why, and maybe you can get to something quick because you'll be able to fix that issue within that journey for other customers. And really it will show other shoppers not only that you're there to help, but you actually care about that experience, and it gives you a chance to really find out where you can do better. And then the last tip here is, really letting your customers lead the conversation. What I mean by that is it's really all about giving your customers a voice and make sure you're listening, kind of like to the answer earlier on. It gives your business a pulse on what they liked, what they didn't like, why they bought it, or what part you can improve for others. Customer reviews and feedback is growing faster than we've ever seen. But that's a good thing because it means people are willing to share with others and share those experiences and help their peers. And really this kind of gives you a chance to not only give them an outlet, but it means you can interact with them even if a bad situation does occur, which we all know no one's perfect. And you get to it before it goes viral, right? So, we saw a study out there that 90% of unhappy customers will come back again if their issue is addressed in a quickly, timely manner. So reputation management is going to be a key piece of this by creating a trust strategy and putting that customer first. You can quickly turn angry customers into long-time, loyal, happy customers that will help you build trust with future shoppers. And with that, it's all about meeting the moment. And what I mean by that is, our goal at Reseller Ratings is to give you that chance to meet your shoppers in the moment and target the main intent of the buyer. So, we've gone beyond just the normal just star rating and reviews. We give customers the ability to really share what part of that buyer experience they're writing about. So it does a couple things. One is this tells the retailer particularly what part of the buyer's journey did the customer like and didn't like. It gives them the business to really kind of act quickly and fix the gap in the journey so others won't be negatively impacted. It also gives retailers the chance to really share this social proof at targeted points in the buyer's journey. So we help you repurpose these reviews that are organized by your shoppers and customers and put shipping reviews on maybe on the shipping page, or customer service reviews on the testimonial page, or product reviews and images all on the product page. So give the ability to repurpose those specific reviews about that moment in those right stages in the journey. And really even combining those with review topics with trusted site trust markers to really let shoppers know not only is their data safe and they're secure, but also that their peers had a great experience and received their items on time as well. So, with customer behaviors constantly changing, it's time to get more out of review content and really let your happy customers share what they trust the most about shopping with you. Finally, let your customers really lead the conversation for other shoppers. And really what I mean by that is, we worked with Swim Outlet, who really wanted their customers to be able to share their experiences beyond Reseller Ratings and their website and get it on other multiple, review sites and, right in that beginning part of that Google search. So they used our Amplify solution to really get the maximum amount of coverage for their business. And they were able to improve their overall brand reputation on all different types of, not only channels, but also different sites. So this really lets you, let your customers lead the conversation with other shoppers and really let them know that they can trust your business.
Thanks, Brad. Those were some great tips, and we have a few more to add on to that. So our first tip here, like I said, the word transparency is going to keep coming up. So our first tip here is how to increase transparency on your site. Last year, we actually surveyed about 600 US-based consumers and found that 92% of those reported concerns when shopping online in general. There are obviously a wide range of concerns shoppers can have, but 50% of those respondents reported abandoning a cart because of concerns about business legitimacy. We obviously know how hard it is to get visitors to our site in the first place. So the last thing you want is for a visitor to have doubts about your business or fear that they might get scammed and then end up abandoning your site before making a purchase. Increasing transparency across your website can be really simple to do and can show visitors that you are in fact a legitimate business that does fulfill your promises. When you start to think about how to increase transparency on your site, your goal should be to give customers the information they want when they want it. So you need to think about each step of the customer journey from the perspective of the customer. Think about what questions they might have at each stage and what information would be helpful to move them down the funnel. So here you'll see a list of some of the most important information to include at each stage. And like I said, some of these can be so simple to do and can really just take a few minutes of your time and can really improve the amount of transparency you have on your site. So some of the important ones worth calling out here are adding a phone number, shipping times, return policies, and shipping costs. Having a phone number visible is one of the fastest and easiest ways to build trust because it shows visitors that there are actual people behind the scenes that they can call and contact if necessary. Being transparent with your customers on your shipping and return policies is also crucial. Customers don't want to have to go searching through your site for this information. That information should be available upfront, and that's really going to be a turning point on whether or not someone moves forward with making a purchase. Like Brad said earlier, that shipping and return information on purchasing that kitchen table, having that information available and trying to understand how difficult is it going to be for me to return this product, especially a large or expensive product like that, will really help determine whether or not you move forward. You want to make sure customers can find this information before they make their purchase. Many people want that reassurance that they can return the order in a simple and easy way if they are unhappy with it. Another important one is for your shopping cart to include the total cost of the order. So what you don't want is for someone to get to the shopping cart and then get to the checkout and be surprised by all these hidden fees. Make it your goal to give customers as much information up front so they know what to expect. So consider including maybe a shipping and tax calculator in the cart so they can see exactly what that final cost will be. Include the promo code field so they can enter in the promo code while they're in the shopping cart and they can then calculate and see that final cost. If someone is surprised by the final cost that they see in the checkout, the likelihood of them then abandoning your site is much higher. If for some reason you don't feel comfortable putting all that information in the cart, at least consider including a line of text that maybe says something like shipping and taxes will be calculated at the next step, or there may be this type of fee, something along those lines. So you've at least at that point set the expectation in their mind that there will be other fees added to their total cost. So here's an example of Lens.com. They're a mutual customer of both Reseller Ratings and Trusted Site, and they do a really nice job of being transparent throughout their site. Right off the bat, you can see they include their phone number in the header. That way customers know they can easily get in touch with them. Then you'll see that they also call out their guarantees and returns in the bar at the top of the page. So the customer doesn't have to go digging through the site to find this information. They also include a live chat option, which is another way to quickly and efficiently communicate with customers and answer any questions. Sometimes customers are hesitant to pick up the phone. That may sound daunting or sound like it'll take a lot of time. So being able to quickly just shoot a quick chat message, get your question answered, and then move on and make your purchase is better for both you and the customer. Lastly, if you scroll down to the bottom of their homepage, they include an FAQ section along with all the accepted payment methods in the footer. This is just another way to help build trust and to have everything up front so customers aren't searching for this information. You'll also see they have the option for Afterpay. There's a lot of tools out there like this right now where these allow you to basically set up payment installments for your product. If you sell a really high value, high priced product, customers may not feel comfortable moving forward with paying that all up front. So offering separate payment installments can help get the customers over that through that, making that decision so that they'll go ahead and make their purchase. Overall, transparency should extend beyond just your homepage and should really extend into all the different ways you communicate with customers. Combined, this will all help put customers at ease and really help avoid last-minute shopping cart abandonment. So our next tip here is to focus on creating content that's useful to your audience. Content is a really great way to build trust because it gives you the opportunity to show that you're an expert in your field. With the traditional in-store shopping experience, if customers have questions, they can walk up to an associate and ask. Obviously, consumers can't do that when shopping online. So content can be a nice way to supplement that experience and build brand authority. As the pandemic drew on, many e-commerce brands began to realize that since they were no longer connecting with their customers in store, they needed to find more creative ways to connect and engage with potential buyers. And a lot of brands did this through creating content. They began blogging more, getting more active on social media, putting on live Zoom events and webinars. All of these helped brands maintain that human connection and gave them just another channel to show consumers what they were all about. Something you do want to keep in mind when creating content is that you still are trying to build trust with your customers when doing this. So make sure that whatever it is you are doing, it's being perceived in a positive light. Make sure that you take the time to think your content marketing program through and envision the ways that you can create content that will help your customers connect back to your brand. So while creating useful content is a great way to engage and connect, don't create content that is not related to what your brand is trying to achieve. So a few tips here, some ways you can use content. Basically, before you get started creating content, whether it's a blog, video, digital catalog, or other piece, it's important to consider the best way to approach your audience. Customers like when you speak to them on a human level, and they genuinely want to get to know your brand and what you're all about. So a few ideas on how to create content to connect with your digital audience. Find ways to give back to your community and demonstrate acts of kindness. Consumer behavior surveys have shown that customers are buying more from companies based on their purpose and values. Showcasing your charitable and ethical efforts can help build trust with shoppers who care about helping others. Consider your audience and what would be most relevant to them. Can you make a donation to a specific cause? Can you spread awareness about something relevant to your industry? Highlighting this throughout your content on your website, blog, social media channels, this can all be appealing to consumers and can draw more attention to your brand. Another option is to go more of a fun, kind of lighthearted route by providing a welcome distraction from the reality of the pandemic and potentially post-pandemic life. Get creative with this one. Maybe you want to make a fun quiz to help customers see which product suits them best. You can get your staff involved in filming a fun TikTok video. You can share a new recipe if there's a way to tie that back to your brand. There's ways to get creative and have fun with it and make your brand feel a little more human rather than just a little more kind of serious or robotic. Lastly, you do want to make sure that through your content, you are becoming a trusted resource for your visitors. So maybe it makes sense to start a podcast or seek a guest spot on a relevant podcast where you can share your expertise. Another route is if you sell outdoor gear, for example, research and share the best campgrounds or hiking trails in the country. If people see your brand as a resource and not just a place to purchase products, they're more likely to visit your site more often. Whatever route you go, just remember to consider your audience and ensure your content is relevant and does make sense coming from your brand. So you'll see here Swim Outlet, like Brad said earlier, a mutual customer of both of ours. They've done a really nice job creating content over the past year. Since many of their customers' lifestyles were interrupted throughout COVID, they really leaned into trying to help them adapt to new circumstances. Since they know a lot of their customers cross-train with yoga, for example, they wrote a blog with tips for creating your own yoga space at home. In another blog, they shared the best products for home workouts. They also created some educational content about the effectiveness of masks and the etiquette of wearing them around the pool. So creative and timely content like this can help increase your online presence and in turn keep customers coming back to your site for more information. I will add that even though restrictions are starting to ease up and ease up and the pandemic is starting to kind of come down a little bit, the effects of the pandemic, a lot of the shifts we've seen in consumer behavior and online shopping trends are likely to be permanent and are not going anywhere. So the more useful and helpful content you can continue to create for your visitors, the more likely they are to trust your brand and purchase your products. So our last tip here is to display trust badges throughout the customer journey on your site. And this one is really our bread and butter here at Trusted Site. We've been in the trust badge space for about 15 years now. And along the way, we've researched online shopping behaviors and evaluated how shoppers' concerns impact their decisions throughout the buyer's journey. After a lot of testing and optimization, we've learned the ins and outs of displaying trust badges on e-commerce sites. And one of our biggest takeaways is that it's not enough to just throw a trust badge up on your site or just kind of slap it in the footer or the shopping cart. which is what a lot of sites tend to do. You really want to be strategic with how and where you're placing these trust marks on your site, with which brand of trust marks you're displaying your site, and what the trust marks actually do and say to the visitor. Consumers have different concerns at different stages of the buyer's journey. And so if you don't address those one by one, friction can start to build up, and it increases the chance that the visitor will abandon your site. So this is a bit of data from a consumer survey, that we ran last year. We asked consumers to share their biggest concerns when shopping online at each stage of the buyer's journey. On the bottom axis, you'll see the journey from the entrance page all the way through to the order confirmation page. The red line represents concerns about business legitimacy, and the orange line represents concerns about order fulfillment. You can see that at the start of the journey, concerns about business legitimacy are much higher than at the end. This tells us that when customers first arrive to a site, they aren't sure whether or not they've come to a real business that they can trust. But as they progress through the journey, that concern decreases, and they are likely finding trust signals along the way, like product reviews, contact information, awards, and accolades that make them believe that the site is trustworthy. With order fulfillment, it's slightly different. You can see the points of the journey where the concern is most prominent is the shopping cart and order confirmation page. This makes sense because the shopping cart is really one of the big turning points in the journey. It's where they have to decide, okay, am I really going to move forward with this purchase, or should I go look for this item on another site instead? If it's the shopper's first time making a purchase on the site, they might not yet be 100% certain that this isn't a scam and that they'll be receiving their order. So obviously the concern is actually higher after they've completed their purchase, because at that point, they still don't know if their order is going to arrive as expected, if the product's going to be what they expected. So there's essentially more at stake than at the previous stages of the journey. So this here is an overview of all of the trust marks that Trusted Site provides. And we've really gone through and tested each of these certifications that can be earned by a brand and where the placements make most sense on an e-commerce site. Using our years of research, we've basically developed a system of trust marks that are designed to address different concerns. So the ones you'll see on the top here are the floating trust marks. These appear at every page of the site. They sit typically in the bottom right or bottom left-hand corner, and they float along kind of the entire buyer's journey with the user, no matter what their entrance page is, to remind the visitor right off the bat that this site is safe to engage with. Below that, you'll see our engagement badges. These are static trust marks that can be placed in really specific sections of a site. These are designed to be displayed in areas of friction like the checkout, any secure forms, any forms where you're collecting personal or private information. We also have a banner trust mark, which addresses multiple concerns in a single trust mark. And then there's the testimonial trust mark, which is tied back to our issue-free order certification and shows feedback from customers who have had a positive experience with your business. So here you'll see an example of the Allbirds Sports website. They're a mutual client of Trusted Site and Reseller Ratings as well. And they do a great job of showing how to display trust marks throughout the buyer's journey. So on the first page, they have the floating trust mark in the bottom left corner. This, like I said, appears on every page of the site, following the customer throughout the journey. So there always is a trust signal within view. They then display our identity protection trust mark in the shopping cart. And what this badge does is it shows customers that if in the event that they were to experience an identity theft situation, within the next 90 days, they are eligible to receive up to $100,000 to cover any remediation costs associated with that identity theft event. So we've noticed that this helps customers just feel a little bit more secure about moving on to the next step in the journey, which is obviously the checkout. You can see that Allbird also displays the identity protection trust mark in the checkout as well, so that customers can be reminded of the policy in case they'd maybe gone back and done more shopping, or maybe they'd skipped the shopping cart, which happens pretty often as well. Someone just goes straight to the checkout. So they can then have that badge there to be reminded of the Trusted Site certifications that have been earned and the policies that are available to them. So for the case of Olive Bird, we actually teamed up with one of our partners over at Blue Green. They're a third-party conversion rate optimization agency, and they helped us run an A/B test experiment back in 2019 during the holiday season to help us test how well the trusted site trust marks would perform on Olive Bird's site. And the performance overall was really strong. We were able to show Olive Bird a 16% conversion increase across all devices. And we saw a 22% conversion increase among new visitors, which really shows that the trust marks do resonate strongly with customers who may not be as familiar with the brand, who may be visiting the site or who are obviously visiting the site for the first time, and they're maybe new to shopping online in general. As a result, Olive Bird was able to generate a 21% revenue increase as well. So when adding any sort of trust symbol to your site, we recommend testing and tracking performance. Look at KPIs like bounce rates, time on site, conversion rates. If the trust symbols are working, that means more people feel comfortable and safe on your site, which means you should see a decrease in bounce rates, more time spent on site, and an increase in your overall conversion rates. If you do need help testing the trusted site badges on your site, we have a team in-house that can help evaluate your site and see if you're a good fit for a test, and we will assist with running a test free of charge. We will be sending a follow-up email post-webinar where we will share a little bit more information about that offer.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lauren and Brad, for your tips and tricks about building trust with your customers. I'm going to talk a little bit over about our partnership. So Reseller Ratings and Trusted Site have joined forces in an effort to achieve two shared goals. One, to help shoppers make better buying decisions, and two, help boost sales. We believe that building trust is essential to the buyer's journey, because if you build trust, they will forever be a customer with you and be that loyal, continuing partner. This ensures that the visitors know the recommendations are coming from true, authentic places. And with our partnership, this can help improve your SEO and keyword ranking, drive more qualified traffic from search, and convert more visitors and boost sales. Who doesn't love more sales? I mean, I feel like no one could say no to more sales, right? So now we're going to move on to our question portion. I have seen some questions roll in through the chat, as well as some questions directly sent to me. So are you ready, Brad and Lauren, for the questions?
Yeah.
Ready? Awesome. Okay. So my first question is, our brand guidelines are pretty strict. Are we able to customize the trust badge that you referred to and some of those stars to fit to our branding?
Yeah, I could jump on that. So we have a few different options to display those reviews, whether it's a JavaScript or CSS or even a full API. But we do give our clients the ability to kind of customize it and give it kind of that look and feel on their site, while still getting the most out of those reviews and really making sure it flows properly.
Yeah, and same for our enterprise customers, which we could help you determine whether or not you fall within that bucket. We do have what we call the minimal trust mark. And what this is it's really just a grayscaled version of our trust marks. So they can blend in a little bit more with your site if for some reason you feel like the trusted site kind of green is a little too much. However, I will add that in our testing, we've found that users do respond pretty positively to those green symbols. So something to keep in mind when you're trying to decide which is the best fit for your site.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And I'm going to go over to the one from Jeff. I'm just going to read through this. Okay, so he says, we are thinking the cartoony design of the website could be affecting customer trust in a negative way. Aside from the helpful tips you've already provided, are there any visual tips you can give that are proven to increase customer trust on a website?
I could jump there. I think really, without seeing the site, but I happen to take a look at after, but I think really kind of going back to owning, who your brand is and what you guys are. I think making, I think we're seeing a lot of less is more. We've seen a lot of different shopping carts take off, like the Shopifys of the world and big commerce, really clean, slick, less on the sites. And I think if, you guys have a certain type of personality or culture within the brand, there's nothing wrong with owning that and, leveraging reviews to kind of just, show that and really kind of match it up with your customers. But definitely, I think, going with, some of these templates out there, the less and more approach. I mean, Oliver's is a great example. They have gorgeous looking design, a website. So yeah, I think that and pairing up with your customers, I think would be great.
Awesome. Lauren, do you have something to add to that?
Not a whole lot. I think that's a great point. I think, Jeff, if you're able, you could also try to scale back some of the designs and maybe do some A/B testing. However, that'll be determined by how much traffic you have coming to your site in the first place. So it may be a little preliminary to try that out. You can also survey your current customers and get feedback from them. But I agree, the less is more does seem to be more popular right now. However, owning and really standing behind your brand and being proud of your brand and who you are is also really important.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. It looks like Kim and Earl raised their hands. So I'm going to allow them to talk to see if they have a question to give to you guys. Kim, I just gave you permission if you want to ask your question. You're muted if you are talking. I'll wait a little bit more.
Christina, I wonder if that was from the beginning.
That was just, yeah, those went away. That just, I just saw that pop up. And then let's see. Earl, do you have a question? If not, I'm going to go on to the other one sent to me. Okay, I'll wait. But so another question is, what advice do you have for sites that are just starting out and haven't established any forms of social proof? So no reviews, no badges. Where do I get started?
I can start with that one.
Yeah.
I think that's a great question. I think the nice thing is, starting out, obviously, some of those tips around transparency are really easy to add to your site. So communicating really clearly with your customers, adding a chat widget, which a lot of those tools have, I believe, maybe free services you can use as well, and adding that phone number on your site. So just start by being really clear with some of those things. But the nice thing is on the Trusted Site side, our product is free starting out. So if you're just getting started and you don't have the budget to purchase a tool like Trusted Site, you can use our free product, which allows you to display the trust mark for free for up to 500 visitors per month on your site. So that's just one small way to be able to show visitors that your site has passed our security scans and is trusted.
Yeah, that's a great point, and definitely take Lauren up on that, especially the free tier. We have a similar one. It's called Claim Your Page. We've been partnered with Google for over 10 years now, and they crawl our website on a daily basis. So, being able to create a storefront, we call it, on reseller ratings, we can send you instructions after this on how to claim it. But really, that's a big step. And I think, just getting off the ground too, even just asking, your initial buyers, their feedback, and ask them if they wouldn't mind sharing on social, or even offering, a coupon code if they made a purchase to write a review about the specific product, just to maybe put at the footer of your homepage. It doesn't have to be all out testimonial page, but just anything that just shows, some other experiences, I think is going to be key.
Awesome. And I'm going to go to another one that's on the chat. I think this is what they were asking, but I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, just put it through that I am wrong. But this is for Lauren. So how do you scan businesses to use Trusted Site, as in like, how do you get the badge to say it's a trusted site?
Yep, good question. So these all are earned certifications. So a site does need to pass our security scans in order to be able to display the trust marks on their site on a weekly basis. So every 7 days, we are scanning the site for malware, phishing, malicious links, 404 pages. The way we do this is we check various databases out there. So we're checking Google Blacklist, Fish Tank, and some of our own internal resources as well. If your site does come back as safe, you will be able to continue displaying the trust mark on your site. If for some reason at some point you don't pass that security scan, we will remove the badges from your site. We will alert you of the issue. Once you resolve the issue, those trust marks will reappear on your site once again.
Awesome. Thank you, Lauren. And I'm going to do one more question, and it asks, You both mentioned shipping, feedback, and reviews, or the certifications you just mentioned, Lauren. How do I highlight shipping satisfaction on my site?
Yeah, I can jump out of that one. So we have the ability to let customers tag the review when they submit. So for example, they could write a survey about how that overall experience was, and then we have a tag in there, anywhere from shipping to customer service to checkout. Essentially, we could take those all the reviews about shipping and the customers that have tagged it. You can even go in yourself if maybe you think it was shipping related and they forgot to tag it. And then we have a small snippet of code that could live on your website as a widget that would display only reviews about shipping. So there's, usually commonplace is there's a testimonials page that kind of has everything. Our widget would be specific about, that shipping or maybe that customer service. So as they're checking out, if they're a little nervous because they have to hit a certain deadline, you can show recent shipping reviews to kind of give them that, extra comfort knowing that, you guys will be able to come through and help them out.
Yeah, and to add to that, so one of the certifications I mentioned was our issue-free orders certification. And this is not in any way to be confused with a review service. This is why Reseller Ratings and Trusted Site are great partners and go hand in hand, because we are doing two complementary things. We're not competing in any way. So really what our issue-free order certification does is after someone makes a purchase and after they've received their order, the merchant can choose to send them a brief, I believe it's a 3-question survey. And it basically just asks, were there any issues with your order? And that gives the consumer a chance to answer and explain if there were any issues that came up. The merchant does get a chance to respond to those issues, or they can just the consumer can just give a rating. If the merchant maintains a 95% or higher issue-free order rate, they can display our issue-free order badge on their site, which shows something like 99% issue-free orders. And again, that just alleviates any concerns the consumer may have about moving forward with a purchase and lets them know, oh, wow, this site does fulfill on their promises. No one's reported any serious issues with receiving an order from them.
Awesome. Thank you, Lauren. And this is the end of our webinar. So thank you so much for attending. If you want to screenshot this slide, this is how you can connect with Brad and Lauren. You can also connect with me if you want. You'll probably find me through Reseller Ratings. Again, my name is Christina Kay, and we'd love to help you answer any questions you may have. And we look forward to connecting with you in the future. These slides and the recording of the presentation will be sent out. So look forward to some messaging from us as well as Trusted Site. And thank you again, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.
Everyone.
Bye, everyone.